Don't forget to donate to One Ummah and its ongoing sadaqah. Support and share the amazing rewards of every project they are a part of. Remember, it's 100% donation policy. Donate now. Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to another episode of Smile to Jannah. Ladies and gentlemen, when it was Ramadan and the Muslims prayed in Trafalgar Square, the news was covering it as such. A gathering of 3,000 Muslims in Trafalgar Square has ignited a fierce debate about religion. Really? Fierce, yeah? Interesting. Identity and domination of civic spaces. So some far-right nuts make a few comments on X, therefore now there's a fierce debate about domination in civic spaces. Well, a lot of people are saying that about Judaism and Jews. Are you going to put out a news story saying there's a fierce debate about Zionism and Judaism taking over UK politics and domination of the UK scene, and having an entire article on that, quoting the likes of Kanye West and what he has to say about the Jews? I mean, he's got a song called Hitler, Hitler. Just like the BBC brought on Douglas Murray, someone who is a card-carrying anti-Islamic individual, but yet they bring him on to Newsnight asking his opinion about Islam. Okay, are you going to do the same and bring on Kanye West to talk about Judaism? Of course not. The media has become a joke. You can see over here, this guy with 1.7 million followers says the Conservative Party member of Parliament, Nick Timothy, writes that the street praying on Trafalgar Square in London during Ramadan is an act of domination and therefore division. So according to that logic, if you are praying in public, it's an act of domination. And another common comment is everyone around the world is noticing how Islam is the most performative religion known to man. Another one goes, Islam is the most performative religion. So if you pray in public, not only are you exerting dominance, but you're very, very performative. Right. So the same was done in America during Ramadan. Muslims prayed in public for one day in Times Square, which is similar to Trafalgar Square. People of different cultures and religions hire it out. It's done legitimately through the local council or whatever it is. What did they say? Latest Times Square Islamic prayer triggers takeover claims online. Yeah? Muslims didn't make this claim, nor did we say it. It was to show transparency at a time that Islam is viewed with dubiousness and suspicion. Right. So the very next day, Jews gathered there. And here were the headlines from their own papers and their own journalists. Jewish pride takes over New York City Times Square. This is what they're saying. We've taken over, mate. They even hired out the screens. Look at the screens over there. When Muslims were praying, there were all sorts of inappropriate things on those screens. Couldn't afford to take over the screens, let alone New York City. So now in that same breath, the same people that were accusing Muslims of being performative and taking over and showing dominance, zip, nothing, nada, zilch. Now, let's see over here, because the Mayor Sadiq Khan, because he was seen praying, he's a Muslim, so obviously if there are prayers and he's invited to speak at a Ramadan event and he's not praying, that's problematic, you know what I mean? So, he said, here's an iftar on Trafalgar Square and here's Easter, Diwali, Vaisakhi of the Sikhs and Hanukkah of the Jews. Look, Easter, Diwali, look, there says Diwali. I know some of you guys can't read. Look over here, Vaisakhi. A lot of Sikhs there with their turbans. Still, you can see the familiar scene of Trafalgar Square. Right, Hanukkah. Now, the Hanukkah candles are lit using prayers. Yes, prayers, just like in Times Square. You can see it said February 21st, 2026. They recited the Shema Yisrael prayer led by released captives. Okay, were they taking over? The Jews lighting the candles and talking about praying to one God, their God. Is that religious domination? And people are saying Sadiq Khan is promoting this religion. It's not in line with British values. Same people that say England is for the English. I mean, this is what we saw in Trafalgar Square. And I go, a reenactment of a Middle Eastern man who never stepped foot in England. That's a fact. Jesus never came to England. Sorry, I didn't mean to burst your bubble, yeah? It's like bursting the Santa doesn't exist bubble. I know it's difficult to digest, but I'm sure many of you guys already knew this. I thought England was only for the English. If Jesus came today, would he be allowed in? What if he came through a different means? Maybe through dinghies or boats or something. Would he be allowed in, being a Middle Eastern man? Or would he be called alien and other slurs would be said to him? So I did have a back and forth with this individual. So look, he responded. So this guy with 1.7 million followers who claims to be a journalist or a media account, he goes, have the Islamists that have made the UK their home considered that the Prophet Muhammad never made it to London either? What a low level response. Frankly, there are times that a person just remaining quiet puts them in a better intellectual position than this. This was one of those times. I go, we don't say England is only for the English. Try again, this time with an argument that actually makes sense. He did try again. Credit to him. And he goes, Palestine, only for the Palestinians, but England is for everyone. I go, so now you believe Palestine exists, yeah? Now let your followers know and let's see how they react. He obviously didn't, yeah? Let's see what he said. Look at that. He proceeded to call me an Islamist. I don't even know what that is. Till today, I don't know what that is. This Islamist doesn't believe England is only for the English. No, I don't believe that. Right. And mocks Londoners commemorating Good Friday. What did I say? That indicates me mocking them. I just said he's a Middle Eastern man who's never come to England. Right? With a reenactment of the story of Easter in Trafalgar Square because Jesus, I don't know why he's got him in quotations, whom he refers to as a Middle Eastern man, he was a Middle Eastern man, never physically made it to the British Isles. He didn't make it to the British Isles. That's so pathetic. That is so pathetic. Let's see another thing that's pathetic, yeah?
Why did that have to be... a lot of people, including the Shadow Justice Secretary, Nick Timothy, are expressing concern and disquiet that this was outdoors in Trafalgar Square in central London.
Okay, outdoors, Trafalgar Square, central London. Okay, let's see. This is happening now. Yeah, it's Easter weekend in the UK. This is happening now. This is a reenactment of the Passion of Jesus. Yeah? What's going on over here? Why is this happening outside? Is it an act of domination? Why is it not happening in a church? Is it a performative religion? Look, it's on screen. You're talking about Islam being performative. This is an actual performance, mate. You've hired actors. I want to see, is Jesus a Middle Eastern man in this one? Look, they got the Romans there and everything. Oh, a lot of white people there. And Jesus was a Middle Eastern man. Oh, is depicted as a white man here as well. On a Netanyahu, it seems. Oh, Netanyahu's made it here as well. There he is. Wonderful. A lot of white people. Yeah. Don't think Jesus was surrounded by white people. I'm sorry to burst your bubble there, Dave. He was surrounded by Middle Eastern people. Frankly, my view on this is Trafalgar Square gets hired to people of different faiths. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism. Knock yourselves out, mate. As long as, according to the UK law, as long as you're not harming anyone and you've sought permission through and gone through the correct channels, yeah?
There are plenty of mosques where this could have
There's
happened.
plenty of churches in which you can carry out the reenactment of the Passion of Christ.
Why did it happen like that? Nick Timothy saying mass ritual
The hell is Nick
prayer
Timothy? Who cares what he's got to say, mate?
in a public place is an act of domination.
Okay, then you need to call what the Jews did in Times Square an act of domination, and you have to call what the English are doing in Trafalgar Square an act of domination as well. You gotta be consistent. Otherwise, get this, you're a hypocrite. And what you say can't be taken seriously, frankly.
People saying that what we saw in Trafalgar Square yesterday looked like an act of religious aggression. Whatever it was.
I mean, normally they call left-wing people very snowflakey and get offended over every little thing. But it seems like these far-right Christian card-carrying Christians get bent out of shape anytime there's any representation of Islam and Muslims, thinking that just because there is an outward pride pertaining Islam, somehow that damages Christianity. Do you really think Christianity is that weak?
It was strange and unusual. We've never had this before.
Well, strange and unusual and something never happened before. I mean, there are a lot of things that fulfill that criteria. It could be your wife telling you that she loves you for the first time, or your child actually calling you his biological father. But just because it's strange and unusual and only happening once doesn't mean it's an act of domination or wrong or incorrect. That's how we progress forward as the human race, right? By doing novel and new things, as long as, of course, they are in line with the law. That's what you believe. And if this is something you disagree with and you want it banned, whilst also on the other hand promoting freedom of speech, then it's a contradiction in your views. But if you do want to put it forward, then get a petition out there to ban all religious events in Trafalgar Square. Let's see how far that gets you, including, of course, the Passion of Christ. Gotta be consistent, ladies and gentlemen. And when they aren't, you gotta remind them. Let's leave it there. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.